All right, I think I'm live. Fabulous people. Welcome to the live for all the babes who create their own life trends. I'm going to give just a few minutes for everyone to sign up, and I'm going to share with you what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we are going to talk about Europe travel, how to travel Europe in 2023. So we're going to be discussing Europe travel tips, Europe travel hacks, mistakes that you might make when traveling Europe in 2023. And of course, that's going to also apply to 2024. So a lot of grounds to cover. Of course, I'm welcoming all the questions that you guys might have. So feel free to leave them in the comments. Now, a few just kind of housekeeping rules. If you're watching this live after it's been recorded, so I'm not live anymore, and you're like, darn it, I missed it, don't worry, just leave me those comments down below, and I promise I will respond. So don't worry, even if you missed this live, it's not a problem. There are going to be many more, and in the meantime, just feel free to leave the comments down below. Oh, and before we begin, please, of course, remember to smack the like button of this live, and of course, to subscribe if you're new to my channel. And for all my subscribers, for my Stay Fabulous community, guys, I'm so excited to see you. It's a little bit dark. I know the background. I tried my best. I'm literally glued to the window right now. So I want to apologize in advance for the light. I'm not in Rome, Italy right now. I'm in Brussels, Belgium, so the weather is just a little bit different, but it's okay. We'll manage. The most important is the information, because I have a lot of good information to share with you guys. So let's begin with discussing some of the things for traveling Europe in 2023. And that, of course, is going to apply to any of the country you will be traveling to, be it Italy, France, Greece, Spain, Portugal, etc. So today it's going to be more about traveling Europe in general, of course. But if you have any questions for me about a specific country, then of course feel free to leave those questions down below. So one thing that I want to share with you guys, something that I recently learned, and it was such an eye-opening for me, and I feel like, to be honest, I've been spending money on something that I probably should have not been spending, meaning I've been spending more money than I should have, and that is the budget airlines. And specifically, I want to mention Ryanair. So typically, and that is something that I've been doing since I lived in the US, I always went to kayak.com or kiwi.com to book different flights. So what I've been normally doing when I needed to fly with Ryanair, I would just go to, let's say, kayak.com, and then they would show me different rates for the flights. I will see which one is the best rate, and then I will click on it, and it will take me to, kiwi.com or eDreams, any third-party website, and I would always book it through them. Now, one thing I discovered recently, guys, that if you go directly to Ryanair.com, your ticket is going to be much cheaper, especially if you plan on traveling with a checked-in bag, which was just such an eye-opening for me, because when I compared how much I would normally spend if I bought a ticket and did the entire booking of Ryanair flight on, let's say, again, Kiwi or eDreams or any third-party website, to how much it would be for me if I did the same exact thing on Ryanair.com, I was shocked how much cheaper it would have been on Ryanair. So that is something, guys, that I strongly encourage you to do. And I'm actually working on creating a video on travel hacks for Europe, so I will go into more details about this. But I just wanted to make sure, guys, that those of you who plan on traveling in Europe and planning on using Ryanair as a budget airline to move from one country to another, make sure, guys, please make sure that you're booking those tickets directly on Ryanair. You don't go to any other third-party website because it is going to cost you more. It is one of those things, guys. It's just, again, I really I couldn't believe it. It was, I think, the difference, because I was also checking in the bag, the difference was almost 50 euros. So just in case, since you're already traveling budget airlines, just in case you don't feel like overspending, make sure you go direct and you do it there. And another perk of doing it directly on Ryanair is that you will have right away your ticket. You'll be easily able to check in, because what happens if you book it through a third party agency, what happens, you actually, they send you an email saying you have to verify yourself. So then you have to go and still register for Ryanair anyway. Then you have to pay a small fee for them to run the verification process on you. So you will have to take a picture of your passport, take a picture of your face, you will have to smile, wink, do upside down tricks. I mean, and it's a lot, guys. So if you just want to save money and have a very hustle-free process, then Ryanair is definitely, just go straight to the website. All right. Hello, Fabulous. Which country have you never been to that's high on your wish list? Oh, good question. Good question, Nonstop Paris. Okay, so which one? Oh, okay. That's hard because because I travel a lot. Which one I have never been to in Europe? I think I would. I think I would love to go to Amsterdam. I haven't been to Amsterdam yet, and I feel like because I am in Brussels right now, in Brussels, Belgium, and Amsterdam is so close, I'm so tempted to go and explore it, and of course to do a travel guide on it for you, etc., etc. So that's the one that came to my mind right now. I might be missing one, but yeah, for sure, Amsterdam is on my list of places to travel to very, very, very soon. So hopefully, guys, hopefully. I've been traveling a lot. I just came back from Czech Republic. So I've been in Czech Republic. I have really hopefully cool video coming up for you next week on Czech Republic, and now I'm in Brussels, and then next week I'm flying back to Rome, Italy. So you will have more Italian content coming your way, guys. All right, next, I have everything written down, of course. Let's talk about one thing that is so important, guys, and this is one of the things that I want to emphasize, because I missed a flight this year because of this, and that is strikes in Europe. Strikes in Europe happen, and they do happen often comparing to the US. And when they happen, unfortunately, city or that particular part of the country pretty much gets paralyzed. So one thing that I strongly recommend, if you plan on traveling to Europe and plan on traveling in Europe, just make sure, guys, that you check ahead if there are going to be any strikes. And I'm talking, of course, about airport strikes or transportation strikes or train strikes. Unfortunately, in Europe, that happens. And when that happens, it's a mess, guys. First of all, everything is upside down, delays, shortage of staff. A lot of flights or trains get completely canceled. Also, the airports gets completely overcrowded. It's just such a mess. So I really hope that it's not going to happen to you. But it happened to me, I would say about 2 months ago, maybe. And that caused me to miss my flight. And then I had to sit at the airport for, I think, like 6-7 hours, trying to obviously fly to my destination. So just make sure, guys, when you are booking your tickets or when you're already in Europe, just make sure that you keep checking and just seeing if there are going to be any kind of strike, any type of strike that might delay your travel or might influence your travel or the ease of travel in any kind of way. So just make sure, guys, that you are aware of this kind of things, because unfortunately they do happen in Europe. And sometimes, which I find very useful, that is another thing that I recommend for you guys, another travel hack, is make sure that if you're flying, again, I'm just using Ryanair as an example, if you're flying with Ryanair, just make sure that you have their app, because a lot of times they do send you notifications saying, hi, surprise, on this and this date we're going to have a strike, so, or this airport is going to have a strike, or that airline, etc. So just make sure that you have the app for the, first of all, for the trains, if you plan on traveling the trains, and two, for the airplane or airline company you will be traveling with, because a lot of times they will send you those kind of notifications saying, okay, there's going to be a strike, so just be aware, leave your house early, or plan on rescheduling your trip, or whatever it is, guys. So just, I recommend for you strongly to rely on those apps, because a lot of times they are good in Europe and they will let you know about the strike ahead of time. Oh, mom is awake. Good morning, mom. I see New York is getting is awakened. David, any tips on booking hotels in Italy during the fall? So, David, good question. So one thing to keep in mind, guys, that fall, especially September and October, and you guys know, those of you who've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, I mention it often. September and October are the busiest months of the year for Italy, and in particular, if you're planning on traveling to places like Rome, it gets busy, guys. So I want you to already be prepared for the fact that if you plan on traveling in the fall, September, October in particular, that hotels should be booked far in advance. And one tip that I have for you, if you book them far in advance, they will be cheaper than if you going to be looking at booking maybe a month in advance. So first of all, it's going to be very hard to find something in Rome or in Florence or in Venice or in Milan decent if you are going to be booking closer to your date. And two, it's always going to be more expensive. So if you are, let's say, a budget traveler, or you just don't want to overspend, because who does, or you just want to make sure that you do have a lot of options when it comes to hotels. So this way, I strongly recommend for you guys to book in advance. So just at least as soon as you find out, okay, I decided I'm going to Italy, then start looking at the hotels and make sure to lock in the best rate. So that's one of the tips that I recommend for you guys. Now, those of you who will be traveling to Italy in November, please remember that the first part of November is cool, it's still very nice and warm. Now, the second part of November, it's going, normally that's our rainy season, so just something for you to be aware of. Of course, I have videos on that, what to do, for example, in Rome in November, shameless promotion. If you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check it out, because it's just going to give you a lot of information about Rome in November and what to do, for example, in Rome in November. But just be prepared that if you plan on traveling to Italy in the second part of November, just be prepared for rain. Be prepared. It's just one of those things. But you will have more options when it comes to hotels, and the prices will be much lower. September and October, usually I see prices sometimes increase three times, guys. It's insane. Traveling to Rome or Italy in general in September and October, it's, yeah, just make sure you have a big budget for Italy during those times. Let's see. Roberto says, peace and all good, fabulous. Kisses from Brazil. Oh, Brazil! Now, this is a country that I definitely want to travel very, very soon. It's on my list. I am very excited about traveling to Brazil, especially a place like Rio de Janeiro. Always been one of my top places to travel to on my bucket list. Let's see. Hello from Orlando, Florida. Love your channel. We'll be traveling to Italy for the first time this Thursday. Nice, nice. I'm excited for you. I will be traveling back to Italy this Friday. So yeah, it's great time to be in Italy, guys. The weather is fantastic, just perfect. And that is honestly one of the reasons why people love traveling to Italy in September and October, because it is not hot, it is not humid. The weather is just perfect. There's no humidity. It's the most perfect weather. So enjoy it. You're going to have the best time. Love Florida, one of my favorite states. So the weather is definitely going to be it's probably pretty hot right now in Florida, so you're going to get a good break hopefully from the heat. But I was looking at the weather today in Rome. It's still pretty hot, which I would love this kind of weather right now in Brussels. It's really cold, guys. You can tell I'm sitting in sweater, and everyone in Rome, I'm sure, in t-shirts and shorts still. So I'm looking forward to still to experience a little bit of the summer weather. All right, Anastasia, let's stay on topic. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, it is something, and that is something actually for those of you who will be traveling to Italy soon. There is something that I really, really, really want to emphasize, guys. And this is one of those Europe travel mistakes that I see a lot of people making, especially for Italy, guys. Please, 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 and take this very seriously. Please don't get cabs at the taxi stands. If you can avoid it, please don't do it, because I hear this all the time. I'm in a lot of different groups where I see what the feedback that people are leaving. Unfortunately, so often, as soon as taxi drivers, they see that you're not from Italy, especially if you don't speak Italian to them, which of course you don't have to. It's not like you have to learn an Italian language, not to be scammed at the taxi station. But what happens a lot of times is that if you don't book your taxi through the app, and I'm about to mention the apps for you guys, what happens, you just get in a cab and then you're at their mercy. They can charge you any rate that they want. And I've heard so many horror stories where literally for 5 minutes you would be charged 60 euros. And also another story that I recently heard, and that's from one of my styling clients, is that the airport rate from, let's say, if you're traveling from Fiumicino or Ciampino, it's a set rate, guys. It doesn't matter where they are going to take you in the city center. So once you get in a cab, let's say at Fiumicino airport, if you're arriving to Fiumicino, from Fiumicino to Rome center, again, it doesn't matter what hotel or what street or what Airbnb, it's a set rate. They're supposed to charge you the set rate. Unfortunately, what happens is some people don't know about it, and taxi drivers just tell them the most insane rate after they get dropped off. And the excuse that they give them is, oh, it's because it's a hotel, it's further away. No, please make sure that you know your rights. Please make sure that you use apps. Of course, you cannot use an app when you're going to be traveling from the airport. So from the airport, there's going to be already a taxi line waiting for you guys. So it's just how it is. But you need to know, if you're getting a cab from the airport, number one, you need to know the exact rate and make sure that they don't overcharge you. So just let them know in advance, you know how much it's going to cost. And usually you have those rates written down right in front of you before you get in a cab. So at the taxi station, there are rates already. So make sure you let them know, you know how much it's going to cost. Please remember, from Fiumicino, it is more expensive. From Ciampino, it's a bit cheaper. Oh God, cheaper. But just make sure that you know the rate before you get in a cab. Number two, I would advise you strongly from using taxi stands, because that's where most tourists unfortunately get ripped off. I would recommend for you guys to use Free Now app, download it, it's free, and make sure that you get your taxi through Free Now app, because this way it's going to tell you right away how much it's going to be from your destination to where you're going. They cannot upcharge you because the payment is done through the app. It's kind of like Uber in the US. So this way you know that you're not going to be overcharged. Please guys, it is so important, because the amount of horror stories I hear about people constantly getting overcharged in Rome, it's a shame, guys. It's a shame. But as soon as they hear that you're from the US, or they hear your accent, that's it. It's just, you're literally at their mercy. And then, yes, of course, if it happens, some people fight the taxi drivers, but let's be honest, most of us don't want to deal with this when we're on vacation. We're like, whatever, it's ridiculous, but we just pay the money and we go, because we don't want to ruin a vacation, we don't want to ruin our mood. But why it's not right. So in my opinion, one of the best ways to avoid it is to book a taxi through the app. Okay, just make sure it's the safest way, guys. I just want to make sure that you know about it, because it just happens all the time in Italy. I cannot tell you about other countries, but in Italy it happens all the time. Let's see, what outfit would you recommend to travel with in European airport? Guys, it's so funny, because just yesterday I was discussing this. I think I'm going to make a video on outfits for their airports, because I think it's going to be a great to kind of give you that visual inspiration for it. One thing that I do recommend for you guys, especially those of you who are traveling from the US, if you want to, just look put together, make sure that you're avoiding, of course, all the athleisure, all the workout outfits, because guys, I personally love them. Let's be honest, it's so easy and comfortable to travel in them, but Europeans don't do it. They do have put together outfits for the airport, and I will make sure that to create a video, guys, for you, and give you some tips and hopefully some visual ideas of how you can dress for the European airports, because guys, Europeans do put a lot of effort into their travel looks. They do travel in style. So I would recommend to definitely put together a few nice outfits, and I will make sure to make a video about it. But just, you have to, of course, in general, if we have to speak in general terms, you have to be comfortable. Of course, it's not like you have to wear a super tight skirt and heels. No, it's not that. But the outfit, it needs to look comfortable, but it needs to be put together, presentable. It's not something that I feel like in the US we're more relaxed about it, but here in Europe, even for traveling, they do take it seriously, and they do have nice put together looks and outfits. So let's see, do you recommend, why can I see it? Do you recommend, I don't know why it's covering, what do hold on one second. Do you recommend the free, oh okay, free. One moment. my camera, guys. Do you recommend the free tours that are offered in each city? Guys, it's a yes and no, and I will explain what I mean by this. It Some of them are really good. Some guides are very enthusiastic about it. Some are, it's a hit and miss. I personally, when I do tours, when I go to other places, and be it a sightseeing tour or a food tour, I normally love to read reviews. I love to know which tour guide I'm getting. I love to know that they are good, because let's be honest, when we are on vacation, every minute counts. You want to have enjoy the best food, you want great guides, you want to see the highlights of the city, etc., etc. I don't like taking chances. So if you can know in ahead of time which tour guide you're getting, and to know that this person is going to be good and you're really going to enjoy it based on the reviews that you read, then yes, absolutely. I know some people who have great experience with free tours, but just make sure that you do your research, because, and that's what I always do no matter where I'm traveling. If I do a tour, I always make sure that I do my research ahead of time, because you guys know I have food tours in Rome. I have an amazing tour guide who does it. So from that perspective, if I do, because I already know what goes into creating tours, so I just always double check. If I do tours in other cities, I always double check to make sure that the guide who is going to be doing the tour is going to be the one where you want to learn from, and he or she has this enthusiasm about sharing the city or the food or whatever you're getting the tour guide for. So that's my advice to you guys. Just do your research. I personally do a lot of research on Airbnb experiences. This is one of my favorite platforms. This is where my food tours are on. So it's just something that I personally love using as a guide for research, because there you can read the reviews, you can, of your fellow travelers, the exact itinerary, pretty much everything. It shows this how many stars the tour has, etc., etc. So do your research, guys, just like we always do, no matter where we're traveling. That's kind of my biggest recommendation. Okay, one quick thing that I wanted to mention something about the taxi. One more. Oh, okay, I remember. One more thing, guys. Some of you are asking me about Uber. Uber, we do have it in Italy, just so you know, but it is way more expensive than cabs. Now, since today the discussion is not just Italy, but all the European countries, let me say that in every single country, Uber situation is different. For example, I'm in Brussels right now, and Uber is so cheap here comparing to Italy. It is so cheap, it's unbelievable to me. But again, it's because I'm in Brussels. Now, in Rome, for example, when I compare taxi to Uber, a lot of time, guys, I'm not kidding, it's 3 times more, at least 3 times more. So the taxi, let's say the taxi will be 10 euros. I look at the Uber app and it's 35, sometimes 40 euros. And a lot of times the reason why it happens is because during the busy season, it is so hard to get a cab. Italian taxi drivers, I mean, they are they're guys, they're having good life, let me tell you that. So a lot of times Ubers are used by people who've been trying to get a cab and they can't, so they're like, I'm late for the site, I'm late for the restaurant, I'm late for whatever, I'll gonna go ahead and spend 3 times more just to get somewhere in time. So of course then of course you get an Uber. But another thing, please remember that in Italy, for example, we only have Uber Black. So it's just a level up service. That means someone in a Mercedes or in BMW is going to arrive in a suit, open the door for you, give you water and caramels and all that stuff. So of course that's going to be always more expensive. But this is kind of just like last reserve. If in case you are late and you cannot get a cab and you have to be somewhere at all cost, then get an Uber. Ubers, you will have no issues getting in Italy. They are expensive, but they will arrive. So if just kind of in case of an emergency, get an Uber if you cannot get a cab. But just so you know, in general, cabs are way cheaper in Italy. But then, for example, like I said, in Belgium, Ubers are cheaper than taxis. So it just do your research no matter where you guys will be traveling. And of course, please remember also to do your research on public transportation, etc. You have tons of videos on my channel when it comes to public transportation in Italy. So just do your research, guys. That's all. That's my advice to you. Or of course, you can use a travel agency where you can schedule a travel consultation with a travel agent, or they can build an itinerary for you, etc., etc. You guys know that I have a travel agency in Italy, and a lot of you using that service. Of my travel agency, one of the most popular ones is the travel consultation. A lot of you contact me to do one-on-one travel consultation when you plan on traveling to Italy, because of course it does save you a lot of time, and it's a great resource when you just want to ask all of your specific questions to one person. So it is one of those services that are excellent for people who maybe don't have a lot of time to do the research, or if this is your first time traveling to Europe, or let's say Italy in particular, I do recommend to get in touch with a travel agency or travel consultant and schedule a call where you can ask all the questions, or who can help you build a customized itinerary, which will include where to have breakfast, where to have lunch, where to have dinners, which sites to see, how to move around the city, or have it all already booked for you. There are many different options, and I did leave a link for you guys in the description down below to my travel agency, because a lot of you ask me always where you can find this information. So it is there in the description down below for my travel agency in Italy. So the next thing, guys, that I want to mention is traveling to Amalfi Coast and or Greece and or any summer destination during the winter time, because I do get a lot of those questions on my channel under different videos. So I thought this can be a really good time for me to address it, so all of you can benefit from this information. So number one, guys, traveling to Amalfi Coast during winter, or traveling to Amalfi Coast off season. A lot of you are wondering if it's worth it. Now, again, it's never yes or no, it depends. Most of those places, let's say Positano, Capri, Amalfi, Praiano, all of those places, they are seasonal. And that means that all the restaurants in those places, all the bars, cafes, places where you would normally go, right, when everything is open, most of them are closed, unfortunately, during the off season. That means that when you go there, your choices will be limited, of course, when it comes to where to eat, what to see, things to do, etc. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing if you plan on traveling to Amalfi Coast for, let's say, just to see the place, just to get the vibe, enjoy the nature. Of course, there's still things to do. Like, for example, you can go on the Path of Gods. That is always open. Another great thing about visiting Amalfi Coast off season is that the prices are going to be so much cheaper than during this season. But just be prepared that most of the reasons you go to Amalfi Coast for, let's say swim in the sea, right, eat a delicious seafood at great restaurants, etc., 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 those things are not going to happen for you. So if those things are not the priority for you, then definitely go to Amalfi Coast, because it is absolutely gorgeous. You won't have to fight the crowds. You're going to be pretty much by yourself, maybe a few more tourists, but it's going to be just very chill, very local kind of vibe, and you can have those places to yourself. The prices are going to be, again, very reasonable, even for 5-star hotels. So you can definitely experience Amalfi Coast during the off season. But if you decide that you want to swim, or you want to enjoy all that whole vibe, and you want to have tons of options for food, etc., then off season is just not your time to go to Amalfi Coast, because you will be limited. So that's why I always say, when people ask me in the comments, Anastasia, should I go to Amalfi Coast in February? I always say depends, and then I go into explaining what I just told you guys. So hopefully some of you who will be watching this live, and you will hear this, and if you were thinking about going or traveling to Amalfi Coast off season, you will get an idea why it depends, why it's not a yes or no. It just depends on a personal preference and what you're going to Amalfi Coast for. Let's see, David says, your video on what not to wear, specifically men's hats, baseball hats, was spot on. What kind of hats should men wear? I need one for sun protection. Ferrari baseball hat. If red is your color, David, if red is your color, rock it. Well, guys, I know I'm going to say something that, okay, so if we have to talk about from the standpoint of locals, what do Italians do, Anastasia? What do Italians men do? Guys, Italian men are so obsessed with their hair that they will never put anything on top of it. Unless you're at the beach, then they will wear baseball hats. But overall, you will never see Italian men wearing anything on their hat, because they spend probably more time than women putting all that hairstyle together every single morning. So if we have to come to answering that question from that perspective, Italian men just don't wear anything, even when it's extremely brutally hot. It doesn't matter which months of the year you will be traveling to in Italy, be it August or be it February. Well, except in February, they will be putting just, of course, like a regular beanie or something to protect their ears, because Italians do get cold very easily. If any Italians are watching right now, I apologize for roasting you guys, but you know it's true. You know it's true. Now, again, another aspect that I want to add answering this question is, again, it depends. If you are in the beach town, then you can rock any kind of hat. You can do baseball hats, you can do straw hats, you can do any kind of hat, because even Italian men and women, they will be wearing hats at the beach towns. So again, it does depend where you will be going. Now, if we're talking about the cities, to be honest, they just don't wear hats. So if you have to wear a hat, then it doesn't really matter. You can rock a baseball hat, again, just because it doesn't matter which hat you choose. You still, how should I say it? No matter which hat you choose, if you do choose to wear a hat in the big city, it doesn't really matter. If a hat is a hat, if you go for it, just go for it. Just wear one. But overall, in Italy, it's either no hats in big cities or any type of hat in beach towns. I hope that, I know that is not the response that you probably hoped for. you probably wanted for me to tell you this is the hat to wear, and I wish there was such a hat. It's just, it doesn't exist, guys. Italians are too into their appearance, and a hat for men and women in big cities, it's a big no. And I know you're probably wondering, how the heck do they protect their scalps from the sun? It's Italian culture. It's a suffering for beauty, guys. It's suffering for beauty. So, all right, and I'm getting a tip, guys. I'm getting a tip. I'm getting a tip. So if you plan on traveling to places like France, a Panama hat would do it. A nice Panama hat, why not? But again, in Italy, is just not customary to wear hats. If you've been to Italy, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. Even police officers, they have this like most perfectly done hair every single day. All right, moving on, guys, moving on. But I have a feeling we will be back on this topic lately. Let's see. I come to Rome on 112. Is American Palace Hotel okay? Euro area. I haven't been to American Palace Hotel. So if it's Euro area, those of you who are not familiar with Euro area, it's a little bit outside of the city center. So most likely you will need some kind of form of transportation because it is not in the city center. Now, Euro area is very interesting because when you're there, it doesn't even feel like Rome. It was mainly built during, I believe, Mussolini times. So the architecture style is a bit colder. It's quite different. It's a Rome that you don't expect, but it is cool area to visit and to stay in. Again, if you're going to be, if you have some kind of mode of transportation and you don't mind getting from Air to the city center. Maybe the hotel has a shuttle service, but it's a cool area. It's mainly Italians who live in Air, and a lot of soccer players love to live there because it's quite exclusive. It's a bit far from the city center. You have tall buildings, and yeah, it's a quite exclusive area. A lot of posh people love living in Air because, again, it just gives you that exclusivity. You're right outside of the city center. It's kind of like its own community. They even have a little bit of a dialect, the way people talk in Air, and their dress style and everything. Which I think it would be interesting for you guys to know that every area in Rome has kind of its own dialect and its own dress code, and you can tell it just by being in Rome from which part of the city the person came from. And that is something that Italians and Romans love to joke on a lot. It's quite interesting. So Air definitely has its own flavor. It's kind of cool. So just make sure, again, it's a cool area. Just make sure that you have some kind of form of transportation to get from Air to the city center, because it's not far, but it's also not near. So you will have to calculate that into your travel, in case you're obviously going to be probably doing sightseeing and just in Rome and going to the restaurants, etc. But Air also has very nice restaurants, by the way, because again, it is not a touristy area, so you're not going to find touristy traps. Most of the places in Air are catering to locals, so the food in most places is going to be very good. And they have also a very, very beautiful park in Air. It's very nice. They also have, during the springtime, they have cherry blossoming, and sometimes they have festivals in that park. It's beautiful. It's very peaceful. There is a lake in the middle. A lot of Italians love to go there or love to work out there. Air area is very clean. It's nice. Again, I would say the only negative of that area is the distance from it to the city center. So I hope that answers your question. How much Italian do you recommend learning to go to Italy? Parli italiano? Sì, certo che parlo italiano, abito a Roma da 8 anni, per forza devo parlare in italiano. But so what I say is you don't have to speak. Okay, let me back up. So it depends where in Italy you will be going. If you're going to big cities like Rome, Florence, Venice, Milan, etc., if you are again in a touristy area and you're at the restaurant or you're at the site or you're in a cab, Italians know enough to communicate with you. So I'd say just a few basic phrases just to show them that extra level of respect. You will need it, and that includes, of course, ciao, buongiorno, buonasera, grazie, prego, and all those things you guys actually can. I have a video on the top 5 phrases to use or to learn for traveling in Italy. I believe that video, again, in the description down below. So if you guys want to learn and to prepare yourself for the trip to Italy, those phrases are the ones that I would strongly recommend for you to know and learn. Now, you have to also remember that if you go to the rural areas in Italy, those small little towns, most likely you're not going to meet a lot of Italians who speak English. So then you kind of have to use Google Translate and all the different other apps. Again, I feel like I'm always talking about my videos, guys, but I did make sure to create tons of content for you so you are prepared for Italy. So I do have a video on the top apps to download for Italy, and those apps include, I'm mentioning the taxi app, I'm mentioning the best app for communicating with Italians, etc., etc. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure to do so. I believe it's called 7 best apps to use in Italy, something like that. So I strongly recommend for you guys to use it. So again, in those small towns, I'd say any translating app will be your best friend. But in city centers, no problem at all. You will definitely get by with just English. Just make sure to learn a few phrases, again, just to show a little bit of that level of respect and effort. And Italians love it, guys. They love it. They would be so grateful. For them, it means so much that you took the time to to learn a few phrases. So let's see, I'm getting different notifications too, so bear with me. Let's see. Thank you for information. Yes, is 200 meters from metro station Laurentiana. Okay, perfect. So great, excellent. As long as you know how to get to the city center, you're golden. You're going to really love staying in Air. And those also, everyone who is watching, if this is going to be your first time traveling to Italy, if you're not sure where to stay, maybe a bit outside from the city center, I would definitely recommend for you to stay in Air versus, let's say, Termini, for sure. So let's see. Okay, so Alberto says, I use a Panama style one, and that's okay. Nobody gives me some kind of weird look, Yeah, there we go. Problem solved. Hello, love your channel. Heading to Italy in December. My question, where can I go shopping for made in Italy products, clothes, makeup, skincare, food? I will be staying close to the Spanish Steps. Okay, so if you want kind of everything in one place, then I recommend for you one of the most popular malls that has literally everything that you just listed is Rinascente. It's a very popular mall. I believe it has 5 or 6 floors filled with different home goods and makeup and fragrances and clothes and shoes and food. I mean, it is one of those places that if you just kind of want all-in-one kind of experience, then Rinascente is your place. And the cool, obviously the cool part about it is that if, for example, you're traveling as a couple and maybe your man is not so much into shopping, on the very top floor you actually have nice terrace with the cafes, so you can just leave him there with a spritz, and then you can go shopping, and both of you will be happy. So Rinascente Mall is just a cool place to be. It's beautiful. Again, it's really big. It has all the good stuff, and you definitely cannot go wrong. Now, of course, if you are looking for more of catered, more specific, more local, authentic experience, then of course I recommend for you to book a session with a personal shopper like myself, or it can be anyone else, or a stylist, someone who can take you to those authentic local stores, be it for clothes, be it for shoes, be it for perfumes. And this way you will, it's if you do opt for that kind of experience, it works better, because of course a personal shopper, a personal stylist, they already know those places, so it's not as intimidating. That's what I hear a lot of times from my clients. Oh, I would be so intimidated to go in that store, or I wouldn't know even where to find this place. So it's great to have someone with you to tell you those places, where to go to those places and where they're located, and then go to those places with you and introduce you to the store owners and help you find what you're looking for, etc., etc. So just two different experiences. But again, if you just want to kind of one-stop shop, then Rinascente is definitely a great option. It's and it's right by the Spanish Steps. I mean, it's probably a 2-minute walk from the Spanish Steps. Kayvan, so good seeing you. Hold on one moment. My camera is falling. Hi, Anastasia. When are you coming to Sweden? Just love, stay fabulous. Oh, guys, it's so cool because Kayvan and his wife, they were on vacation in Italy and in Rome. And so what happened, I was going to Montepulciano, and we were on the same bus, and it was, we met, and it was just so cool, the bus memories, and so nice to see you. It's same. I love when you guys, I love meeting you all, especially when you stop me on the street, or we happen to be in the same public transportation, a train or a bus. It's always such a pleasure, guys. Always so great meeting you, seeing you, getting to know you, because of course it's a lot of times it's me in front of the camera, but it's great to meet all of you who are on the other side of the camera. It's always great. So yeah, that is one of those experiences when we happened to be on the same bus and we met. There were a few other people there who were watching the Stay Fabulous channel, so it was just such a great, I feel like it was our community traveling together from Rome to Montepulciano to explore more places together. So it was so great. I'm traveling from the 24th of November to the 10th of December. Will it rain a lot? So during that time, again, can you specify which part of Italy? I mean, during that time of the year, yes, we have some rain in most parts of Italy, but you might catch the very end. Milan, okay, I think you should be fine. In Milan, I think you should be fine. And Lake Como, yes, great choices, by the way. Great choices. But I'm pretty sure you will be fine at that point. Yes. Usually you might catch just the very end of it. You might catch just maybe a few days of rain. Again, it is hard to predict, to be honest, with the weather nowadays. We've been having extremely hot summers recently, and then just not very typical weather. But overall, if I had to just take the general years of rain and everything, I'd say you might catch just the very end of it, but you should be fine for the majority of your trip. What to wear? Any suggestions? Monica, if you haven't watched my video on what to pack in Italy for fall, I definitely recommend to do so, because it does break down every single thing to wear by months. So I share with you what to wear in September and October and November. So you will get a lot of good, valuable information there. But in general, if I have to just give you the general kind of outlook, definitely make sure to pack a warm coat, because you are going, of course, absolutely, Monica. Make sure that you pack a warm coat, because you are going to the north of Italy. So there it's going to be already cold. So make sure wool coat is a must. Also make sure to pack, of course, sweaters, like a nice cashmere sweaters, like the one I'm having on right now. I always say in all my styling videos, guys, invest in quality pieces. They will last you forever. They will always look good. They will feel good on your skin. So nice cashmere sweaters, maybe a couple of dresses if you plan on going out in the evening, of course. Nice wool coat, scarf, hats. You can wear jeans. Just make sure it's a dark wash jeans, not light wash. What else? Pants, if you're into pants, nice wool pants will definitely look very nice in the combination with a sweater. With sweaters, what else? Boots, make sure boots are, of course, boots, tennis shoes, not the tennis shoes that we normally wear in the gym, but tennis shoes that we would use for walking. Because in Italy, tennis shoes that we use in the gym, they're literally reserved just for gyms. Again, this is Italy, and especially you're going to Milan, so the fashion there, just be prepared to take it up a notch. Also, gloves, of course, nice leather gloves, if you wear leather, of course, with the, because it depends on the preference. It can be suede too, or it can be just regular warm material gloves. But just make sure that you do bring some warm layers. Also, a nice blazer would be perfect, so you can create some really cool outfits with it. If you just throw on a blazer on top of the cashmere sweater, it will always look really nice put together, and it won't take you a lot of time to put together this kind of look. And also, guys, I always recommend this, and I just want to remind you, just make sure when you are packing for this kind of trips, remember that for every single bottom that you're going to bring, you are bringing at least 3 different top options. I always recommend that, because I see sometimes people pack more bottoms than tops, or they do 1-to-1 ratio. It's I would I would if you're going for a week, I would bring maybe 2-3 pairs of pants, and then the rest should be your tops. That's just my recommendation for you. So let's see. Alberto says, "Dear Anastasia, what's your top trattoria in Rome? I mean, a not too touristic place, but sure place that warms your heart." Oh, okay. I'll give you the name, and I know that I will never eat there again, because it's going to be so full. But of course, so probably one of my favorite trattorias is in Trastevere, and it's called Le Mani in Pasta, and it's just one of those places that warms your heart. Just make sure that to make a reservation there in advance. And what I love about that place is that it's very small, and the kitchen is literally right in front of you. So you see that whole Italian interaction that you normally, would see in the movies. It's a show, guys. It's a show how they interact, and they yell at each other, and they laugh, and they cook, and the pans are flying everywhere. And it's a dinner and a show, literally. I do love that place a lot, and the food there is always superb. They always have a seasonal menu, so you can always choose some really good dishes. And they specialize in seafood, but even if you're not a fan of seafood, you can definitely find some really, really nice dishes on the menu. I mean, they really have everything. And they mainly have Roman food, of course. Remember, guys, that in trattorias in Rome, you will find Roman food. And it doesn't matter, let's say, if you are going to trattoria in Florence, you will find Florentine food, right? In Milan, trattorias, you will find Milanese food. So it just depends on where the trattoria is located, in which city. So that is the main difference between trattorias and restaurants. If you're going to a restaurant in Italy, you will find dishes of all the different regions in Italy. So in a restaurant, you can find dishes from Milan and Bologna and Venice, etc. Whereas in trattoria, usually you will find dishes specifically of that particular region. So that is the main difference. I personally love eating in trattorias because, of course, you want to enjoy local food. You want to enjoy local food when you're in those kind of places. That's why, for example, when I go to, well, when I'm in, or when I go to Florence, I usually go for Florentine steak if you guys love meat, because of course that is something that you can genuinely try only in Florence. If I go to, let's say, Positano, Amalfi Coast, I never, ever, ever order carbonara because it's a strictly Roman dish, and it's not going to be the same, guys, etc., etc. So just make sure that you go for, if you want authentic local experience, always go for trattoria. I need some water, guys. I feel like I'm losing my voice. It's been an hour. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Enjoy Italy, guys. That's what I'm here for. Okay, let's see what else I have to cover. And yes, one thing actually that I wanted to mention, since we're on the subject of the weather, guys, just make sure that you always check the weather ahead of time when you planning your trip to Europe in general, because in Europe it's such a drastic difference between, of course, Northern Europe and Southern Europe. So you always want to be prepared. If you plan on covering maybe some parts of Northern Europe and then some parts of Southern Europe, just remember the weather is going to vary drastically. Like, for example, I have to translate it to Fahrenheit for you guys. Like, for example, right now in Brussels, it's 53 degrees Fahrenheit, 53. And in Rome, it's 78. So you feel the difference. That's why I always recommend just make sure that you check the weather in for each country, and also even the place in that country, because sometimes, like for example, in Rome, the temperature can be and most likely will be much higher than, let's say, in Milan. So make sure that you always check the weather and just pack accordingly if you plan on visiting maybe 2 or 3 countries in Europe. So always make sure that you check and prepare it, because every country is so drastically different one from another. So just always make sure to be prepared for everything. I was sad to see it was going to rain next week. I thought we would beat the rainy season. Well, one thing on the positive note, please remember that even if it shows rain, a lot of times it might not rain at all, and it also if it rains, it will rain just for a little bit, and then it's back to sunshine. So don't be discouraged. A lot of times, again, in Italy, it might say it's going to rain, and then out of sudden it doesn't, and you get blue skies, and you're like, what happened? And the same goes for I mean, for any place in Italy. And on top of that, like I said, if it does rain, I promise you it's going to be so quick. And during that time, you can go to museums, you can go to churches, you can do sightseeing indoors, you can go shopping, you can go to the restaurant. There is so much you can do. So please don't get discouraged. Italy is incredible. It doesn't matter if it's rain or shine, you will always find plenty of things to do. So just to kind of give you a little bit of that optimism. Definitely don't be discouraged. It's going to be great. I know you're going to have the best time. It's Italy, guys. It's Italy. How can you have a bad time? There is so much there. And one last thing I wanted to mention, guys. I can see my voice, my voice quality just keeps decreasing. But I was talking about the Amalfi Coast, traveling to Amalfi Coast off season. I forgot to mention, like I said, the same goes for even Greece, because a lot of you ask me, Anastasia, should I go to Greece in November? Should I go to Greece in December? Again, it depends. If you plan on traveling to Greece, to Greek islands, it's kind of the same situation as in Amalfi Coast, because most of the things will be closed for the season, because Greek islands are seasonal as well. So most things will be closed for the season. But let me tell you guys, I lived in Greece for half a year, and I was there off season, and there were still, again, plenty of things to do, plenty of things to enjoy, and some really cool local spots were still open. So if you just want to go somewhere for the vibe and you don't care about maybe swimming, or you don't care about having tons of restaurant options, then going off season, be it Greek islands or Amalfi Coast, can be a great option for you. And on top of that, like I said, the prices are, you cannot even compare to what they are during peak seasons. Hi, Florin. Hi. All right, guys. I think I covered everything when it comes to travel in Europe in 2023. We talked about strikes. We talked about airports. We talked about the weather. We talked about taxes and scams and everything in between. If you guys have any questions for me, it's a last call. But like I said, if you're watching this right now and I'm no longer doing live, then feel free to leave me comments down below. I promise I will respond to them, guys, because for me it's very important. Anastasia, would it be a good time to go to Milan in February? Just as long as you don't mind cold, absolutely. It's and overall, I personally love February in Italy. You guys know I'm a big proponent of February in Italy. In Rome, we have it's one of, or to be honest, it's one of my favorite months in Italy. I always say, guys, it's one of those travel hacks for Italy that I always share. If you guys want beautiful sunshine, blue skies, no crowds, almost no crowds, because it's after all it's Rome, no crowds, delicious food, seasonal food, of course, all the food that is in season in February. Guys, February, it's February. I'm telling you, it's such a beautiful time to travel to Italy. Love February in Rome. Absolutely love February in Rome. Let's see. We didn't have a chance to visit Pisa and Florence. When is the best time to visit northern Italy and Pisa? So it depends. Again, if you mind crowds, if you don't mind crowds, I'd say, again, also the weather. If you don't mind cold, well, you live in Sweden. So I'd say if I had to just choose two, let's do two. I'd say either April, May is a great time. It's beautiful. Italy is so beautiful in the spring. So April and May, it's still not too hot. It's still not too overcrowded. I mean, it's going to be crowded. So I just want to make sure, so you don't go back and say, Anastasia, you said no crowds. It's still going to be crowded. It is Italy, but I'd say April, May are great, two great months, and September, October, because I think that is the most ideal time. Just again, it's going to be avoiding crowds. It's quite difficult, but those months, Italy is just magical. Now, if you can also do December if you want to see it during the during the Christmas time. I've been in Florence during Christmas time, and it's also magical with the Christmas tree in the middle. It's beautiful, and they sing carols everywhere. I love it. So, but ideally, I would visit it April, May, or September, October. And also, please, since you mentioned Pisa, for Pisa, guys, sometimes when I create itineraries for people, they their initial idea to spend maybe 1 2 days in Pisa, and I always say, guys, Pisa is a day trip. It's a day trip. I would go there, maybe in the morning, walk around, see the tower, enjoy the meal, and then I would head back. There is not much going on in Pisa. It is beautiful, but there is not much going on. I wouldn't spend there a day or two. So it just kind of a tip inside the tip. Anastasia, are there any different events happening in Rome in the next couple of weeks, festivals? How would you find out what is going on locally? Would love to do something different. So I am going to come back, and I am going to make a video on it, guys. Yes, there's always something going on. This is Rome. So um, to be honest, we don't really have one website. I wish we did, where you can find out all the events that are happening in Rome. But there are many different websites where we gather all that information, and then, we locals, we kind of know, okay, this is happening at that point, this is happening at that. So I will make sure, guys, I am coming back on Friday. So I will make sure to get that video done soon, because I know you will be traveling. So I will make sure. But yeah, there is always something going on. There are many different festivals, and not only in Rome, but also in the areas around of Rome. We have a lot of times like artichoke festival and wine festival and a truffle festival. So we have a lot of different things that are happening always. But again, there's not one website. We usually just pull the information from different websites, and then we kind of decide what to do. Loved Rome in September. Can wait to return in 2025. 2025, it will be here before you know it. And in the meantime, I will make sure to create a lot of videos. You're very, very welcome. Very welcome, Lizette. I'm excited, guys. Good morning from California. So early, already up in California. My God. Hello, West Coast. All right, guys. Well, I think we did good. 1 hour and 12 minutes. I hope I answered all of your questions. I will be coming back to Rome on Friday, like I said. Expect tons of new videos on Italy. And my priority will be, I remember, airport outfits, and of course, what is happening in Rome in the next months or so. So prego, David, prego. So yes, guys, I think this is a wrap. It's been so good seeing you. Those of you who will be traveling to Europe very soon, have fun, guys. Enjoy. This is your time. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy France, enjoy Italy, enjoy Belgium, Greece, etc. And I'll see you in the next live, guys. Have the most beautiful Sunday. I'm going to stop talking for a while because I can't move my mouth anymore. And I'll see you guys in the next live, next video. Before you go, guys, remember to smack the like button and, of course, subscribe. And I promise, guys, so much good content is coming your way. All right, guys. See you and talk to you later. Bye.